All right, hello and welcome back to another 5K tennis discussion. It is Wednesday, July the 22nd, 2020, and we are here to talk about some tennis and some other things that society is going through. Hopefully everyone is doing well, but I'm ready to jump right into it. Carly, you ready?
Sure.
Let's go! Pardon the sunburnt neck right here, but I did have my wide brim hat on when I was fixing the courts, but somehow I still managed to get cooked in the sun. So, if you're wondering why the neck's all red, that's why.
Even the fire alarm and stuff.
Yeah, the fire.
Sounding because you're so burnt.
Yeah. I stay protected. Didn't do good enough, obviously. All right, topic number one. We're going to get into some tennis topics. Like I said, some other things that society's going through, and surely a lot of you are. But the first topic we're going to start out with, obviously tennis related, and that is the DC or Citibank Open has been canceled, and I know a lot of us have had our sights not set on that tournament per se, but that tournament for a long time has been kind of a warm-up for the U.S. Open. So is this something that the U.S. Open may have to now be a worry of it not occurring, Carla? Is this something that may change things?
I mean, I'm sure it's going to change week to week, just like everything is changing around us. You know, one week they say school's going to start. Next week, school isn't going to start, so it's all week by week, depending how, I don't know, the cases go up or they go down. I think it has to do a lot, though, with players not being able to travel from internet overseas. I think that's why they canceled it. Not so much because the cases were up, more that they couldn't probably fill up the draw. The players are unable to come in to the United States,
Well, the U.S. Open, I already knew the next step of this discussion. The U.S. Open immediately came out and released a statement that the cancellation of the D.C. tournament, that is the City Open, had no bearing whatsoever on either the U.S. Open to begin on August the 31st or the week prior, or about 8 days prior, the Cincinnati or Western and Southern Open that's generally held in Cincinnati will be held in New York as well. So both of these tournaments are still right on par to be held, i.e. the Cincinnati Open, Western and Southern, and the U.S. Open. What Carla mentioned, though, is players will have a difficult time traveling, may or may not have a difficult time traveling. Let's think about this for a little bit. There are a lot of international players that live and train in Florida, that live and train in New York, that live and train in Southern California. The Mecca being Southern Florida, Bahamas area, a Caribbean area. A lot of players live and train there. So I think a lot of those type of players won't have any problem getting to New York to play the Cincinnati Open or Western and Southern Open or the U.S. Open because they are already here in a sense. I think,
but there's still rules for every state too. Like I told you earlier, I played doubles with two young ladies from Kentucky, and they mentioned to me anybody coming from Florida, Alabama, Georgia, have to quarantine to go back into Kentucky for 2 weeks. So if you're coming from Florida, which most players are, and they're going to New York, I'm sure they have some type of rule.
So I didn't know that. I wonder how the state of Kentucky monitors that. So
well, I'm sure they don't. That's why.
So how is that? So you're telling me that every person that drives, let's say we live in Alabama. If we drive up I-65, which is an interstate, we cross through Tennessee, and then we cross over and then into Kentucky. Are you telling me they stop every single car that comes through I-65, every other interstate and county highway that runs north to south, east and west, and stop and say, hey, where have you been? Or are you telling me that that might be just something to say on the news so you look like as a state, at the state level, that you're doing what you're supposed to do?
Sure.
So I call bullshit on that one. I don't think there's any way that is humanly possible that you are able to stop or prevent every person from coming in, just like it's whether or not you can stop every immigrant going into this country or any immigrant going from that country into another country.
Well, they can control
it's impossible.
They can control it more coming in from international into the United States because you have to go through what is it called?
Immigration.
Immigration. They're going to ask you, and they see where you're coming from. Oh, you can't come in. So they could stop you there.
Agreed.
There, they can control it. What are you going to do? Cross the border illegally? Come on.
Millions of people do it annually.
I'm sure a tennis player is not going to go cross the border.
No, you can't because you have to check into the tournament. I just meant as a whole.
Right.
So let me ask everyone a question. Because of this type of thing, whether or not a certain player can come, or whether or not a certain player is willing to stay quarantined for 14 days prior to playing, um, are these stipulations going to draw asterisks to the tournament to whoever may win it? I think Stanislav Wawrinka has indicated he's going to not play the U.S. Open. I think Rafael Nadal has long said he will not play the U.S. Open. I think there's a lot of other international players that can't afford to travel here 3 weeks prior to the tournament and stay in lodging and housing for that long for the quarantine period and then therefore play. Meaning most people on tour out there, let's say if you have a 128 player draw, I think the large percentage of that draw is not the richest of people. I don't think they can fly.
And non-American.
Yeah, and non-American.
Yeah.
So let me ask you another question, Carla. You know, for a couple of years doing this show, we have talked about how absurd it is that Serena Williams is trying to chase Margaret Court because when Margaret Court won the gist of all her Australian Opens, no one really played it. No one could really either afford to travel to Australia from the U.S. or anywhere else for that matter, on the complete opposite side of the world. So isn't this kind of synonymous with that? Maybe if you follow what I'm saying, if this is all
Sure.
gonna, if this
It's
is
about the same.
if this is all going to be players that can only either A, afford to be here, B, are already here and it's no big deal to get there, or C, have deep enough pockets to make this like no big deal, or E or D or whatever letter I was at. I think what I'm saying is the level of play with no qualifying, no doubles, no wheelchair. We've already talked about this. I won't beat a dead horse. But I think the level of play would be more conducive to someone like John Isner winning it than I would see Roger Federer winning it, because the likelihood of these guys playing, I think, is slim, even if they say they are now. Would you agree or disagree?
Sure, yeah. I mean, and also don't forget that even people who own homes in Florida, they still have to get their visa approved every certain amount of months. You know what I mean? They're not
Right.
American citizens. Those that are lucky, but some of them had to go back and then try to come back in. So there's going to be a lot of visa problems.
How big of an asterisk is given to the winner or winners, male and female, that win this U.S. Open with everything going on in society today, from protests to pandemics, to people broke on the streets, to people missing mortgage payments, to everything else underneath the sun? How big of an asterisk is involved here? Let me postulate a question, and we'll go to the next topic. Let's bring up a player here. Let's say Steve Johnson, the U.S. player. We all know who Steve Johnson is, I hope. Not, I just picked out a name of an American player. He's got a good story. Not a huge fan, but good story and so forth. But let's say Steve Johnson wins this U.S. Open. Is there an asterisk next to that?
Sure, I doubt that Steve Johnson's going to win this
I'm just saying, though. Okay,
I'm sure, yeah. I mean, I know Novak Djokovic wants to play the U.S. Open. I mean, for him, it would be great because he would get closer to Federer and Nadal's record, knowing that Nadal is not playing the U.S. Open, knowing that Federer is not playing the U.S. Open, knowing that the rest of the contenders he can beat. So for him, it would be very important to be in the U.S. and kind of, not worry about the French. I don't know. He has a better chance at the U.S. than at the French, in my opinion.
I do as well, but again, we've talked about this ad nauseum. Novak is one of those type guys like me in a way. If someone tells me to wear a mask, it's not that I don't want to wear it, but I don't want someone to tell me to wear it. If I want to wear the damn thing, then I'll wear it. If I don't want to wear it, I don't want to wear it. And furthermore, the thing I don't get is, I was at a store not terribly long ago and I forgot the mask thing, just dumb me, whatever. Someone was like, where's your mask? And I said, oh, geez, I forgot it, and just I ignored it. But I was thinking in my head, because they had a mask on, I was thinking to myself, you got a mask on, I don't. Isn't your mask working? I'm like, isn't the whole thing to keep like vapor out of my face or out of my nose? But if it's just you and me here and you have a mask on, why is it a problem? Or are you just being a dickhead? Do you see what I'm saying?
Because it's the law. That's why.
Anyways, it's not why we're doing the show. But,
no, but it's the law. That's why.
I think
they get fined if you come in there without a mask too.
This was another person. This wasn't a worker.
Oh, it wasn't a worker?
So,
okay.
So what I'm getting at here, it's society is on edge these days, and this leads me into my next topic. Society is extremely on edge. People are being forced to wear masks, and I'm not saying that we should or should not, but I still think it should be your choice. I mean, and you guys can slaughter me for that all you want. I just don't like being forced to do something. I'm not saying it's right or it's wrong, and I'm not saying you can or you can't, or I will or I won't. But I just don't like someone in my grill saying you got to do this. I mean, everyone's entitled to their own beliefs, or at least I think that's how it goes in this country. In the United States, however, that's changing rapidly. Number 2, hey, you better be 6 feet apart. Here's an X on the ground. Here's an X on the ground. There's an X over there. And you better stand on your X or else. It's borderline making me, and I'm talking about me here, not even want to go outside. I mean, I got to go outside, and I can't shake anybody's hand. If I wear a mask, if I don't wear a mask, I might get my ass kicked. Let's look at this store capacity. I went to a concert the other night, and I really had a great time at it. It was a Grateful Dead cover band. I had a wonderful time. But the poor people that put the concert on must have spent days setting out everything so it was so spaced apart. So I can't imagine that the lovely concert they put on, it was lucrative for them because of all the safeguards they had to put into place to make sure everybody was safe. So what is this the demise of small business? Because you can't tell me that all this stuff they spent to spread everybody out reimbursed them by the band that drew a small crowd. You can't tell me. So let's look at geographically in the United States. In Alabama, this whole spatial mask thing is very laxed, but it's not very intensely pushed. But yet we just talked to a friend that got back from where I'm from, California, and he was like, "Whoa, we went out there and it was like police." It was not police themselves doing it, but everyone was being policing about the mask and taking pictures of one another. This guy doesn't have a mask on, taking pictures. I can't imagine it's going to be much different in New York. So back to the Novak Djokovic thing. Novak Djokovic is a patriot. He is a countryman.
He might not be happy.
He may not be happy with that, I would not be.
Yeah.
So
it's tough. I mean, we watch some of our students play a tournament. It can be done right, by separating or I guess following the rules so it doesn't get shut down. I mean, we saw a tournament 2 weeks ago where it was the competitor and +1, and they all had like these keychains, and they would move their scores with a clip. They would sanitize the stuff. They would kind of sit apart.
Oh, wait a minute. Okay, let's rewind for a minute. She was mentioning a tennis tournament we went to, +1. Someone may not follow that. Okay. So Carl and I,
competitor and one more person allowed with you.
Carl and I are coaches, and we went with one of our students to a tennis tournament.
Hey, Mary.
What's up, Mary Michael? Let's go. Let's get down. Woo! Let's go. So we went to a tennis tournament with one of our students, and a sweet young girl, good player. Again, what's up, Mary? However, the player, Mary herself, has a wonderful mother, father, we're the coaches and so forth. But only one person could go in with the player. So the player +1. So the parents, I'm sure it was a tough decision for them and tough decision for me. I couldn't warm her up or anything because of my broken arm for the second time in 8 months. So Carla went in. So Carla had a tag and a pass. I had to sit, kind of far away on a bench.
No, you actually.
No, well, you did. I had to walk through the woods.
You had to walk through the woods.
So, they told me I couldn't come in. I respected that. But it was, the tennis center was stationed alongside of a park with a big thicket of woods that ran in between the courts and the woods. So, man, I got dirty. I went into the woods, climbing through mud, came out of the pucker brush, came out of the thorn bushes, crept up on the other side, and I was like, boom, what's up now? I'm not on the tennis property. I'm not 6 feet, I'm like 28 feet away, but I'm in the woods. I'm right here. So I found my way in without cornering anybody, but that's how the tournament was ran. So I'm assuming.
I think it was successful. They were able. I mean, they're going to get shut down. They have to follow the rules. They're going to get shut down. See, we're going to Mississippi next week, and they don't have that rule. +1. Anybody can come. Mississippi's a little bit more free on that.
I'm looking forward to going to Mississippi.
There is no rules about anything. You have to wear your mask. Nothing. So we're fine there. We're going to go to that one. But they were able to hold a tournament. It was a big tournament. Kids coming just, from all over Alabama. I thought they did it fine. I think the U.S. Open can do it too. I just think it sucks that there's going to be no crowd.
Well,
and they could make maybe the stadium half, fill it up half. People maybe 3 seats apart. I don't know.
Well, the problem that you run into with doing that, I get what you're saying. Say you have Arthur Ashe Stadium and you sell 2 tickets per row, and then you keep them spaced out. The problem that you run into is at concession stands and in bathrooms because it's in between sets. They're breaking and everybody scurries to the bathroom. And that's a tough thing. The concert I went to the other night, that was a problem and that they were dealing with and doing a really good job. But that's the thing, you have to pay people to do that.
I didn't think about that. You're right.
So it's not the seating. It's what happens during the intermissions and breaks.
I just honestly, I think that the Grand Slams, they should have waited. Maybe not. Who knows? I mean, I can tell you a story about a student that we had. Don't want to mention names. Her friend went to go get tested, decided not to wait in line. Got a result of positive when she never tested for the test. So it just makes you think. And now we're getting all these cases that there's a lot of false positives of people that never went to get tested. So it just makes you question a lot of stuff.
Now think about this for a minute. This is a true story, kid you not. A person that we know drove to a testing facility, okay? Got in line, signed up, waited in a massive long line.
Didn't want to wait.
Halfway through the line, forget this, I don't even want to get tested, I'm out. Bailed out, took off. A week later, she gets a positive test result. She didn't even take a test.
Didn't even take a test. So it just makes you question a lot of stuff.
So again, not saying it's real, not real, but I am saying that the numbers are very possibly inflated for whoever reasons to gain.
Don't get in a car accident. Don't get in a bike accident. Don't get in any accident. Who knows?
Yeah, not saying it's not real, but don't be concerned or don't be, I guess, bewildered would be the proper word.
Yeah.
If coming to pass one day a story comes out and someone says if you had the flu or died of cancer, or if you had stage 4 lung cancer and you just died, you ended up dying of coronavirus.
I just feel, this is a really tough situation right now for all these tournaments. I don't even see the U.S. Open happening, honestly. I don't even think the kids are going to go back to school. The kids here are going to go all virtual, right? So, why would New York, a state that had much more cases than we would even allow a tournament
just all of a sudden say it's okay.
It's okay. I don't get that. I don't get all of that. When they were the worst of the worst, I just don't get it.
No, in retrospect, I hear that in France, these numbers have dropped significantly, and the French Open will be played a couple of weeks after the U.S. Open.
Well, you got Madrid and Rome, too.
And Madrid and Rome prior to that.
And Madrid is bad right now. The numbers have tripled, I read.
So I wonder how the travel bans and who's allowed in, the quarantine period, etc. will work there. Because everywhere is different, and I think Carla already mentioned this. All right, so next topic that I wanted to mention is just to deviate for a second from tennis, just for a moment. How has anyone ever seen society as a whole, and I mean globally, not just in the U.S., society as a whole is on edge and as stir-crazy as they are now? I'll define this. I was in the airport. I think I mentioned this on the last show, actually.
You did.
I was on the airport. I was just being me, talkative, and talking to someone and mentioned, a football team on their shirt, and it was like, whoa. So anyway, fast forward. Everyone you meet right now is standoffish for the most part. Every store that you go into, everyone is standoffish. If you get close to people, they are standoffish. Let me tell you a couple stats, though, that no one talks about. As of yesterday, 33% of those in the United States are either late or delinquent on their rent and or mortgage. If you don't know what a mortgage is, that's your housing payment when you commit to buy a house. Obviously, when you buy a house, you don't really own it because you're paying a mortgage on it for 33 years, so the bank still owns it. So you don't really own it, really. You can say you own it, but you don't really own it unless you bought it outright. 33% have delinquent rent or mortgage payments. Now check this stat out. 38% of those in the United States with a car payment are either in repossession status, delinquent, or already late. 38%.
Thank God we only have one more payment.
Okay. So the city of Chicago. We turned on the news this morning. Chicago is a war zone. I'm not saying it's part of a protest or this virus or whatever it is, but I can promise you it has to do with people feeling destitute, no food in the refrigerator, no gas in the car, or no car at all, no AC on, and it's hot as hell here right now all over the U.S. This climate has been just redunculously hot. Portland, Oregon, there's parts in Portland that are on edge. We got Chicago in a war zone. We had Seattle like that not terribly long ago. Does anyone think that society is on edge right now?
Yeah.
Now, we get asked a lot, why don't you guys do more shows? Why don't you guys do more shows? We try to do them. This is our busy time of the year to teach, and we're lucky because tennis, you're 78 feet apart, and the court's 39 feet wide, so we're good. However, we have taken a hit from it. Our lessons have dropped off, starting to come back a little bit, but they have dropped off because tournaments are more meticulous and picky and so forth. But does anyone think, or in comments below, In comments below, tell us, well, give us some of the things that you see that make you realize how on edge society is. Carla, can you name a few things that make you realize how on edge society is?
Oh, people are rude. They're just very rude. They stare you down. You know, they judge you if you don't have a mask on. I mean, they don't want to talk to you. I don't know. Everybody's in a rush. Nobody looks at you anymore.
We have 5 kids. Every time we go somewhere and we're all crowded around together because we all look different. We're a mixed racially family. We got one dark-skinned kid. We got one light-skinned kid. They don't think they're ours. They're wanting to take pictures. Shh, look at these group of people. They're all next to each other. They're obviously not related, even though we are family and blood. But we still get the pictures. Shh, do we not? So everyone is on edge. I think as much as I love the game of tennis, as much as I love to watch it, I think I'm going to worry less about how the U.S. Open unfolds with all of its asterisks than I would like to see society come back together as a whole.
You're right. I mean, right now, society, between the virus, politics, and all the BS going around, yeah, it's just a...
You mentioned politics. Does anyone out there believe a politician anymore, at least if they're from the U.S.? Does anyone believe anything?
I'm not for the right nor the left. I'm like right here.
Look, I'm dead down the middle and just want the best for humanity. And
I'm like in the middle.
You know, our motto that we try to live by here at 5K Tennis is have fun, live well, and be better. That's our thing, you know. We put it on shirts, but no one ever buys them. So anyway, we just wear our uniform shirts. This old one is one of them. But have fun, live well, be better. If you buy into politics these days or some type of ism, then you're cutting off half of your society right there. Look, I'm going to stop there because that's not what we do is talk about this. But it's a shit sandwich out there. Please have fun, live well, and be better, because the only thing buying into all this is going to do is create negativity. It seems like every time I pick up a device to look for something, or I flip on a television, which we rarely do, it's all negativity. Look what's happening here. This 12 people got shot there. This person took a picture of that person because they weren't wearing a mask. So I'm scared if I watch the U.S. Open, I'm scared if I watch the Cincinnati tournament, like I mentioned on the last show, I'm just going to be reminded of how much of a shit sandwich society is right now and how much I can't wait for it to return to normal, if it ever does.
On a positive note, though, see, our kids have to do school online till November. So I told my kids, well, let's look at the positive. We'll do the school online, and don't tell me that school takes all day to do. It just doesn't.
Well, I think in of itself that's a problem.
I don't like it. I would have preferred for them to go back to school because I think social skills is very important, and especially those kids that have advanced classes like my oldest. Very important. His junior year is very important. So I'm not happy about this at all. But I told them, let's use this. Make it a positive. Let's train hard.
Yes.
While others like that go to private school or that are going back to school because that's what they voted on, we're going to train. Do school and train, and you'll be better at tennis.
Yeah, so she said it perfectly. As a psychology graduate at the university level, I can't tell you how important or explain to you how important the socialization of children is.
Yeah, it's very important.
It doesn't matter if your student is necessary. Well, it would matter to me, but I would rather have my child in school as a D student than at home as a B student online, because they're pointing and clicking, they're not really paying attention. They're going to Google to look up their answers, they're going back to their tests and so forth. I'm not a fan of it. It's better than
there's going to be a lot of dumbasses passing this year.
Now, with that said, I think for those tennis players out there, that they can use this time to train. So there shouldn't be any excuses out there to any of our students that are fixing to do homeschool because they are forced to.
Well, most of them are going back to school, but I have a feeling that one kid gets sick, though, school will get shut down, and it will happen. Trust me.
All right, so we're gonna wrap this show up with a couple of quick kind of. I got some quick things coming off. So we're going to wrap up the show with a couple of quick things. Let's talk about these in comments, and we'll start with this one. All right, everyone out there, Carla, I haven't asked her these yet, so let's go with it. This is questions for all you guys. Question number 1, does this time off, the past since March or somewhere around there, March, April, May, June, July, 5 months and further, does this time off affect the dominance of the big three? Nadal, Federer,
I think it does.
Djokovic.
It's good to be tournament match. It's different to practice than to do tournaments. We see that with students. Some practice really well, and then when they go to tournaments, they just collapse. Yeah, it's important.
Now, I know I know the young lady Teresa. That's one of your adult doubles and partially single students. I know she doesn't watch this, but if she does, she absolutely practices and drills exceptionally. But when she came out to the court today, she played like a 3-0.
She looked like a girl.
Yeah.
I'm like, what happened to the tough lady I teach?
Yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna have to drill her next time.
She played like a girl, like a prissy girl.
Some people train well on the practice court, and they go to matches, and it looks like they never played before.
Yeah.
I hope that doesn't happen to Kara.
I hope not.
All right, here we go. In my opinion, I think it does as well. I don't think it affects. I don't think it affects Novak Djokovic as much as it will affect Nadal.
It affects everybody. You're human. You need those matches. Anybody does. You need to keep playing matches that count.
What do you guys think? Question number 2: If all three of the big three started off their careers. Or restarted their career head-to-head as we restart tennis. So if Nadal, Djokovic, and Federer, their head-to-heads, they have an immense amount of head-to-heads. Let's say those all started at 0, and they resume their head-to-head count as tennis returns. Okay? How does it end up from there if everyone starts at a 0-0? Does what I'm thinking is Federer's just left out, Nadal still owns clay, and Novak wins everything else. Does that sound about right?
No, I think against each other. You mean?
Just them against each other, just the head-to-heads.
I mean, yeah, Federer's at the end. That's kind of stupid.
That's
kind of stupid because he's like, I'm gonna be 41. He's gonna be 39. So yeah.
Yeah, that's what I think.
I mean,
I think the head-to-heads, if they restart at 0, as we restart tennis, I think Federer is out. Will never beat either one of them in a major. I don't think.
That's a stupid question because he's at the end of his career almost. So come on. That's like saying if Venus and Serena restarted. You can't do that.
All right, next question. Does this time off affect the big three in terms of winning another major?
Yeah, it does. Because now we got all this BS. You don't think on the back of their head, now they worry about winning a match, and then in the back of their heads also about this stupid crap going on? And all the protocols they have to follow and be the example because they're the top 3? Yeah.
I think the younger guys benefit from it because younger kids are used to making changes. You know, the parents say this, the parents do that, the parents move here, the parents send
Nobody's
you there.
got to be careful that he's not the bad guy
it.
again.
Yeah.
He's got to be careful with his family not getting it again. I mean, there's a lot of bullshit. I'm sorry, but there's a lot of BS to deal with now. Yeah.
As we get older, we become more set in our ways. So just like me with the mask thing, it's not that I think it's wrong. I will wear one when I have to, but I don't want to walk outside from my house and have someone driving by when there's no one around me saying, "Where's your mask on?"
I do see funny things though. I do see people driving with their mask on, which cracks me up. I've seen people like on the beach with their mask on, nobody else around, riding their bike. I'm like, really? I'm like, okay.
It's harder for a seasoned veteran to, especially when you're the most elite in the world, to start saying, "Okay, yes, sir, I'll do this. Yes, ma'am, I'll do that. I'll do that."
When you're
it's more
older,
like, "Man, I've been here a long time. Who the hell are you? Did you just start yesterday? Get out of my face."
Yeah,
it's harder for that.
Yeah.
Last thing, Danielle Collins, the rebel college player herself.
You sent me a message. I'm gonna tell you. I know you don't know the difference. I was sleeping, but I can hear any noise, and not that you woke me up. But my phone was going ding, 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 ding. And it was you at 3 in the morning messaging me.
Let's go.
Or messaging us about Danielle Collins.
Let's go,
And
Stephen.
you thought it was funny. I get it. Yeah, me too.
So Danielle Collins, as we all know, is a pro player. She went to the University of Florida to play tennis. She was kind of jerked around by the tennis team there, coach namely. She transferred to Virginia, won 2 national championships there, entered the pro ranks. Since she entered the pro ranks, she always had the mindset of being the rebel, feisty, kind of snooty, kind of snarly, kind of bitchy type player. Well, the thing that really kind of drew me, kind of awestruck me, or shock and awed me here is here Danielle Collins is, a couple of weeks ago, was knocking on Novak Djokovic because he was handling his Adria tour or comeback tour so loosely and frivolously, as she said. Novak Djokovic, gosh, he should take this stuff more seriously, and blah, blah, blah. Well, here this girl is with her snooty self, got kicked out of World Team Tennis for a 3-week tournament because she skipped camp and got out of the bubble, per se. So in other words, she left the quarantine area, came back in, got booted for 3 weeks. So is this a classic example of the pot calling the kettle black?
This is why you don't open your mouth. Shut the F up.
Like Will Rogers said many moons ago, never pass up an opportunity to keep your mouth shut. I mean, dang. I wouldn't even have given a damn either way.
It's worth
but the thing is here she's called out Novak Djokovic, and she did the same damn thing but worse. Once again, society is on edge.
Yeah.
Society is on edge. Society is on edge. This reminds me though of the National Basketball Association, which is fixing to restart. I think, if not today, maybe this weekend.
Let's see how that goes.
So all these NBA teams, I think there's 32. I may be wrong on that. Stefan's a basketball fan. I'm a Lakers fan. I think Stefan would probably know better than me. He's like 6'8" and freaking would dunk on me all day. But I think that having something like this will be a prelude to how everything else works. So
we'll find out soon.
I'm happy that the NBA is doing this, and go Lakers, not because of LeBron. I was a Lakers fan when I was like 6. LeBron wasn't even born yet. However, I think it's going to be really hard to keep everything copacetic as this league thing begins. We'll see how that goes. I'm not going to get into basketball here, but that's fixing to begin. Serena Williams, by the way, looks very fit. We've talked about this before. She has gotten back in shape, and she will.
While the other girls are showing all their goodies.
She will be joining her. She will be joining her sister in Kentucky for a first ever tournament.
I think Stevens is there. Who else is there? Stevens. I wrote it down. Oh.
It's all good. Fact of the matter is.
Hey, have you guys seen Naomi Osaka in the bathing suit? Girl needs to stop.
Yeah, I saw that.
She needs to stop, and her boyfriend is ugly.
It's an omen. It's an omen.
Oh, Azarenka, Serena, and Sloane Stevens. Oh, they're playing.
It's an omen. When you start showing your ass,
showing your
and a
ass.
skimpy bikini, and
Every
you're
girl's
a
got
female tennis player, you don't win anymore. I hope it doesn't happen for Naomi Osaka, but the last picture I saw, she was trying to look hot, sticking her butt out with a little string bikini on. The only thing I said is, uh-oh. What happened to Bouchard? What happened to what's the girl? Kornikova.
Yeah.
And the list goes on. I hope it doesn't happen to Osaka. The positive for Osaka, she's won 2 majors.
Yeah, that's true.
So, you know,
she can retire. She can retire with her butt ugly boyfriend.
Vamos, let's go. We're out, guys. Much love. See you soon. Stay safe. And we'll see you next time.
Adios.
Peace out.